Hi, everyone. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Wynn. Today, I have our founder, Neda, with Ossum Bone Broth. Hi, Neda. How are you?
Hi, Wynn. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Love your
Thank
show.
thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me a little bit. I just wanted to know, I love your bone broth. I tried it, and I have friends that have had it and love it. Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start your business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually one of those stories where I didn't even mean to go into it. It just kind
Mhm.
of happened. During the pandemic, I was just cooking some bone broth at home. And I think at that time, everyone was really concerned about like getting sick and their immunity.
Mhm.
So I was just sharing just natural, immunity methods like
Mhm.
bone broth on social media. And then a lot of people were reaching out and asking if they could buy it. And I was
That's
like,
amazing.
right. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
interesting. And then, they weren't really asking if they could buy a little bit. They're like, hey, can I buy a gallon of it?
Wow.
Interesting. And then I
Yeah.
started to pay attention to the different demographics that were, that were wanting it and wanting it in such big quantities. And it was
Mhm.
cancer patients, it was pregnant women, it was
Wow.
therapists, personal trainers. And then I started to dig into it more to see why. And then,
Mhm.
there's high protein content, vitamins, minerals, glycine, glucosamine. And I'm like, interesting. And so the
Mhm.
more that people reached out, I was like, wow, I actually have to really look into how to go about making this into a business.
That's so awesome. So what was your first step when you decided to make it into a business? What did you do first?
So, I don't have much of an entrepreneurial background. I have more of a marketing background. So, as far
Mhm.
as operations go and steps, it was very challenging, but taking it one step at a time, I think really was, what helped and,
I
not
love that.
not
Mhm.
looking at the whole staircase, but just taking it. So the first step I took was to really look into what the county required as far as
Mhm.
permits go, and making sure that I'm handling food safely and in the
Mhm.
way that they require. So getting my food manager certification was
Mhm.
the first step that I had to take.
That's awesome. And I think that's so common among so many people who want to start their own business is just thinking about all the steps and all the things involved can be so overwhelming. So I love what you said about like not looking at the whole staircase and just taking one step at a time.
I
Um,
still have to coach myself in that way too, because there's, as you know, when there's so much to be done. And it
mhm. Oh, I
so
know.
you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something I still have to tell myself every single day. If I can just accomplish one thing on my list, just one thing, that's one step forward, towards my goal. So I love that. And so tell me where do you what do you see Awesome Broth in the future? Like, where do you want to go with this?
Well, I think that feedback from my customers has been really inspiring for me.
Hmm.
If anything, they have contributed to where I see the business going in many different
Hmm.
ways. One, I see us getting to a point where we can be shipping nationwide. As
Hmm.
you know, with fresh food, it's very difficult to be able
Yes.
to make sure that it's time and temperature controlled, that it's by the time that the person receives the product, that it's still in its original form. So
Hmm.
those are some hurdles that I'm, kind of going through right now.
Hmm.
Packaging has been such a nightmare for me. It
Packaging
really
is hard, and, like, mine's changed, like, 50 times the last year.
It is just wild. And then, you have to think about the weight of the packaging, right? And then you have to think about, am I going to be using dry ice? If I am going to be using dry
Mhm.
ice, when the person receives it, is it going to be hazardous to them? Are they going to hurt
Yeah.
themselves?
Oh my gosh.
Do I go about, using gel packs? So I definitely see us, jumping through those hurdles and getting to a point where we are shipping out nationwide. I do see us having retail locations, like
That's
small,
awesome.
tiny, like I'm talking like maybe 500 square feet, and there's like a window, and
I love that.
I envision tables outside and plants everywhere, and just having it be this like holistic, healing, good energy space where people can just come and pick up their bone broth, hang out if they want.
So awesome. I would be your first customer.
Yes,
I love it.
When I would be getting your tips. I watch you all the time on Instagram cooking, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, is she like, can I come over for dinner? It looks so good over there.
The door is always open.
And I've used your saute sauce in my bone broth. I actually have some customers that have asked if I can make it spicy, and I put your saute sauce in there, and I tell them,
Yeah.
like, this is so good.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I'm Vietnamese, so I grew up eating noodles and soups and using bone broth. Like we've always cooked with bone broth, and it's so good for you. But I know yours has something different. Like what's the thing that differentiates your bone broth?
Yeah, so quite a bit of things. I actually was talking to a customer yesterday, and she was telling me, poor soul. I love
Yeah.
being able to have these conversations because I feel like as a society, we want things that are convenient. We want things that are fast. And sometimes
Right.
as consumers, we easily buy into the convenience of things as opposed
Right.
to its original source. So I had a customer yesterday, and she's, I love bone broth. I have the powders in my purse. It's so nice and
Ooh.
convenient. And I had to break her poor little heart and just let her know how the powder is made. And what they do with these powders is that they don't even use the bone of the animal. They use the skin of the animal, the hide of the animal. They soak it in acid, and then they boil it into a powder, and they call it bone broth.
Wow.
It's like, I like to also compare it to, squeezing a fresh, cup of orange juice compared
Yes.
to getting a juice box or getting a
Yes.
powdered orange juice. It's never going to be the same,
It's
right?
never going to be. Yes.
And then, you walk into the grocery store, and I'm sure that you've experienced this too, Wynn, and
Hmm.
you'll be going on an unrefrigerated, aisle and see
Hmm.
boxes of bone broth sitting there. And I mean, I think that most people just gravitate towards that because they really don't know any better. And they're like,
Right.
that's bone broth, that's just, it's 2 for $3 sitting right there. And the amount of shelf stabilizers these things have, I mean, natural
Right.
authentic bone broth is supposed to just be good in the fridge for about 4 to 5 days, in the freezer up to 3 months. There's no way that it should be sitting on an unrefrigerated shelf unless it has a lot of things inside of it to keep it good. Another
Right.
that really, I found one brand that keeps it in the freezer, but the amount of sodium that they put in
Mhm.
bone broth, I mean, it's crazy to me. It is so much,
Yeah.
it's like 290 milligrams per cup of sodium.
Wow.
And when I think about that, I'm like, okay, bone broth is a natural anti-inflammatory, right?
Mhm.
So when you're
Mhm.
adding that much salt, it almost seems counterproductive to its natural properties.
Right.
So
Right.
for me, I read your story when about, being frustrated and not being able to find like, the different spices and sauces that you wanted in the Asian food aisles, right?
Uh-huh.
And mine,
Absolutely. Right. And it's like, it's one of those things, I think unless it's about educating people and consumers because, we think if it's in the grocery store, if it's in a natural grocery store, it's good for you. But I agree. I mean, I can't imagine. I've never gotten bone broth in powder form. Like I can't do it. Like without knowing all the knowledge that about how it's made. And I think that, going back to the pandemic with people simplifying their life more, it's like even just it relates to food as well. Like we should have ingredients that we can pronounce. So there's, I would say most of the things we see in the refrigerator and in the aisles, there's like all these different things. Like I can't even pronounce those ingredients.
It's scary.
So just like taking it back to the basics, right? And that's really good for you. So I love that you don't put sodium in your broth. I don't like to eat with a lot of salt. Like sometimes the things we season, if we make it into soup and add a little bit of, coconut aminos or soy sauce, that's like enough sodium for me already. Like you don't have to have that and add the other sodium based ingredients to it, you know.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of people are really fooled by the word organic. I've seen
Mhm.
that to be such a misconception in our society where people see organic, they're like, oh, well, it must be good for you. And it's like, well, organic poison is still poison.
Right.
So I think people have to be very careful with that. I've seen that on those unrefrigerated bone broth boxes where it says organic. And it's wild to me. And going through the steps of, kind of going back to what we were talking about of what makes, Awesome Bone Broths different than every other bone broth on the market is we
Mhm.
also use really high quality bones. And
Mhm.
that is so important because bones bioaccumulate. And what that
Mhm.
means is what you find in the bone, you will find in the bone broth. So,
Wow.
if the animal, for example, is on a factory farm and they never see like daylight, they are on an
Mhm.
unhealthy diet, they're living in
Mhm.
distress, you end up with a weak, brittle bone and you end up with that
Wow.
near bone broth. So it's really important to us. Like I spend probably $12 to $14 just on the bones per order because
Wow.
a very high quality bone from a pasture raised farm locally. We go and we check
Mhm.
out what their farming practices are, what type of land they're living in, what they're eating. So we do have higher price points, but for very good reasons, because we're giving
Mhm.
a high quality, natural, authentic, pure product.
Absolutely. Like for me, it's like I'd rather not have it than to have like an unhealthy version of something, right? So it's like with bone broth, the same. Like I loved your bone broth. And I've read a lot of things about it too, like all the health benefits, and it's good for your hair, your skin, it's anti-aging.
Absolutely. I mean, it is the most bioavailable
Right.
source of protein and collagen your body can
Mhm.
consume. And there are a lot of studies that, I don't like to blindly like throw out,
Mhm.
health facts without any sort of research to
Mhm.
support what we're claiming, right?
Yeah.
So the NIH has actually done a lot of studies on different components of bone broth.
Mhm.
So from the glycine, there's a lot of glycine in bone broth. There's glucosamine that they found in bone broth, the collagen,
Wow.
protein. They found that the collagen in bone broth helps support the mucosal lining to help gut
Mhm.
health. So, I mean, I hate to say that it's like a blanket statement for everything, but there are definitely a lot of
Yeah.
wonderful benefits, health benefits to drinking pure, authentic bone broth, not the powders, not the unboxed stuff,
Yeah.
the way our
That's
animals
so
are made.
awesome. I just love how passionate you are. Like, I mean, I thought I know bone broth, but it's like now I have so much knowledge, and it's like I love it. I just love how passionate you are. Um, so Netta, how do people order your bone broth? Where should they go?
Yeah, so they can order it on the website. We're
Okay.
not quite in as many stores as you are, Wynn, but you're very
No,
inspiring
one step
for us
at
to
a
get
time.
there one
One
day.
step at a time. I still have a long ways to go.
I
So
Wynn, my goodness, I'm like, she is killing it. She's gonna be like international soon. You're 55 stores, right?
yes, yeah.
Wow, that's
So I've been working
definitely
really hard.
so inspiring. And, if,
So
as for now, right now, you can get it on our website, but
that's
hopefully,
awesome. Well, everyone starts their business differently. Like I just revamped my website so that people can actually just started ordering from my website. So, so I kind of did it. I started with in a different way. So, don't stop, just keep going. And it's great that they can order from your website. Like, I think a lot of consumers prefer that anyway, you
yeah.
know. So, And tell me, what is the one big advice that you want to offer other entrepreneurs or other people that want to start a business but are too scared to?
I'd say just execute. Just execute.
Mhm.
Don't sit and overthink it. I think that waiting till it's perfect, trying to be like, oh, I need to have the
Mhm.
perfect name, I need to have the perfect brand colors. I think it can sometimes be such a cop out for ourselves to actually
Right.
execute. I think just do it, get the name up, get the colors going, get whatever your product is, get your website up. You can always adjust. You can always,
Right.
always adjust. But if you don't execute and you don't actually get it out there, then there's nothing to adjust. Right.
Right.
And it just stays kind of like a thought. But I think a lot of people, including myself, it can be scary,
Mhm.
right? Like you're like, oh,
Totally.
and 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 you know what? Failure, I think that fear of failure, I don't think it's failure if you failed and you manage your failures and it
Mhm.
kind of becomes something else, right? Like who knows?
Right.
Maybe like, it might not work out, but that might lead you to the next thing. It's a the
Absolutely.
only thing I see as failure is not actually executing.
Well, if you don't fail, it means you're not even trying at all. So that's an automatic failure in my eyes,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So I love that. Thank you so much for your time. You have taught me so much today. I'm so excited. Now I like want to go have bone broth for lunch. I'm like, I'm so thirsty. I need
I
some
can
bone
get
broth.
you some. You tried the chicken. I have to still get you the beef.
Yes, I loved it. I love the chicken.
Right.
Which one is your best seller?
Oh, I think there's some technical
Oh,
difficulties. Sorry, couldn't hear
oh,
you there.
oh,
What was that?
sorry about that. Which one is your best seller?
I would say that they're surprisingly kind of equal. I would say we launched with beef first, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I like, I know that a lot of people were requesting different things initially, and I think that's what drove us to get
Mm-hmm.
expansive. But
Mm-hmm.
initially, it was just beef because I was like, I can only really just handle beef right now. I was a one man
Uh-huh.
show, so sourcing chicken and doing that was a lot more. But as I expanded, we brought in chicken. And
Mm-hmm.
I have different customers like different things. Like I would
Yeah.
say our beef, like my mom, for example, she like hates chicken. So she's like,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me the chicken. I just want the beef.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and my dad love the chicken because
Yeah.
it tastes to me like chicken soup without all the sodium.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I've learned so much. I really appreciate it. And, best wishes on your business. I definitely will be referring plenty of my friends to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And thanks for just everything that you do on Instagram and inspiring other entrepreneurs and people in the kitchen. You are amazing, Wynn.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank
Thank
you. Nice to meet you. Bye, Neda.
you. Bye.